That looks vaguely. Hello. Oh, no, no, the lighting is appalling. Hello and good evening. Hello. Hello. No, the lighting is absolutely awful, as bloody usual. Hello. Yes, we hate the lighting. It's just useless. Oh, God. Sorry. Hello. I don't know if anyone's there, but you can't really see me. It's appalling lighting. It's absolutely awful. Whatever angle I put it at, I look like the Harbour of Doom, don't I? Like the Grim Reaper. Oh my God, awful. Right. Anyway, sorry, the lighting is the worst because it's that time of day when the light outside is going down and the light here is just totally useless. So, sorry. I do apologize. The lighting is just awful. I look like I'm harboring some kind of death in the background. I look like something from a Sherlock Holmes movie, don't I? There we go. I could be Jeremy Brett as one of his protagonists in his enemies or something. Because I certainly am not worthy of being Jeremy Brett, given how wonderful he was. But I sound poorly. No, I'm not poorly at all. Pig. I'm absolutely tip-top. Thank you very much. I'm feeling great. So sorry. No, I've got the birds whinging in the background. They're the ones who probably are poorly. They're whinging and whining because we had a visitor today, a lovely visitor, a man who kicked over some boxes on the doorway that are designed to keep the birds from coming in the house. And he said, "You're not to give the birds water." He was German, and he said, "No, you're not to give the birds the water." And I said, "What?" And I said, "Who are you?" He goes, "And where is the householder?" I said, "Well, she's upstairs." And he said, "You are not allowed to give the birds the water. It is not allowed. The birds are not allowed to be given the water." And I said, "Excuse me, it's very hot here, and these birds are being given some water. What's it doing? What's it got to do with you, and who are you?" He wouldn't say who he was or where he was from. I worked out full well where he was from because he was having a little lunch party up the road with the woman who hit the birds with the stick, the nasty woman who actually broke the law and did common assault on a bird. It's not a nice thing to do. You don't go around attacking birds. People who attack birds are probably the kind of people who attack humans. So not very nice, German. Not a nice person. And it's not kind to attack birds. And birds should be given water. There's no reason not to give birds water when, there's a heat wave. And there's been a heat wave in England, and all my friends in England give their birds and their gardens water as well. It is a common piece of decency, wouldn't you agree, in the background?
Yes.
To give birds a bit of water when it's hot. What is wrong with that? Especially when you're by the sea, because they can't drink seawater. They have to drink water that's from a river or wherever. And the rivers are far, far away. So it's better that they are given a little bit of water. That is not a bad thing to do. Just because rich bitch down the road probably has a boat, she doesn't need to be so mean to animals. The animals were here on Earth before she was. And the animals will be here when she's long bloody well gone. And that is how the world works. Yes. Don't give the Germans water, says Alfie's mum. Yes. No, there are lots of lovely German people here, don't get me wrong. The German neighbors next door, very nice people. They're absolutely fine. They're not into the birds either, but they're not as nasty about the birds as this nasty woman. But this nasty woman is nasty about everybody and everything. And she doesn't like cars. She doesn't like this. She doesn't like that. She doesn't like the other. She doesn't like people swimming in the water. Two men who were having a swim. She reported them. Well, anyway, I rang the chief of the municipality, and I said, "Well, is it possible to give the birds water?" And a man came round on a bicycle within 10 minutes. And he said, "Of course you can give the birds water." He said, "Just don't speak to that woman." And that was his view on her. So there you go. Birds should be given water. And even these security guards have humanity towards a bird, whereas this nasty woman, what does she want? To kill the birds. She came to live in a place that's by the sea. What did she expect to find here other than seagulls? They're called seagulls because they live by the sea. She is a stupid, stupid woman. And to be mean to animals is cruel and malicious. You know, I've got my petition about the sloths now at nearly 2,500 signatures. I've included the link in the description box, as Sean Atwood would call it. And I would like you to share the description box, the signature thing, as much as widely as you can, get more people to sign. Let's ban people like Tamara Eccleston keeping sloths as pets in the United Kingdom. Sloths do not belong in mansions in Kensington belonging to the convicted criminal, coffin-dodging fraudster Bernie Eccleston's daughter. They belong in the rainforest. And seagulls belong by the sea. I'm not going to start a petition about seagulls because there is absolutely no need. But this woman, she really has gone too far this time, sending a man round, invading the house, telling me off for giving a seagull water. 2 days ago, she told me off for giving it food, and now it's giving it water. It's not allowed. You can't give it water. You're not allowed. Well, no, sorry. I will not be told off, and I will not comply with your nonsense, you silly woman. You are a stupid, stupid, stupid moron. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
The householder agrees. We don't think it's fair to stop. We are going to go and buy a bird bath tomorrow because unfortunately today was Bastille Day, so everything was closed. So we couldn't buy a bird bath. Otherwise, I would have gone and bought one right now, just to annoy this snitch. Yes, who is this snitch? Precisely, she's the local snitch. Yes, she would have been anti the resistance, wouldn't she, if there had been a war? Let's be honest. I think that's where she would have sat. I think she probably wouldn't have been a very nice person in the war. Let's be honest. I don't know who her family are. I don't know who her what her heritage is, but she's got an attitude that is the size of China. The American neighbors, they said, we love it that you look after these birds. Anyway, they've left today. Lovely, lovely people, nice people, friendly to us, and very, very nice. But, anyone who hates animals, you've got to have something wrong with your soul. If you hate animals, you're a bit unhinged. Hating animals means you've got something mentally unhinged with you, in my view. Yes, the snitch. Yes, you're all calling her the snitch. That's her new nickname, the snitch. Marguerite the snitch. $9.99 has been given towards the bird bath from Pig. Hello to Lady Men, and we think you should buy a bird bath, basically. So, yes, so we have to go and buy a bird bath tomorrow. We'll take a picture of the bird bath for you. We are going to go and buy it and stick it in the middle of the lawn, and she can shove it up her jumper. We will go and buy one just because you've given $9.99 towards it. So thank you very much for your donation, Pig. If anyone else wants to donate to a bird bath, we will take a picture of the bird bath and we will do it. But you don't have to give a donation. We weren't angling for donations. We're going to do it anyway. We just want to buy one if the garden centre has one. Well, God knows if this garden centre has such a thing, but it has all sorts of it sells cockerels and it sells pigs and roosters and all sorts of God knows things. So I'm sure it has a bird bath, but we'll go and have a look tomorrow morning and there we go. Another £10 from Tina De Silva for the bird bath.
Yeah.
Donations to the bird bath are coming in thick and fast. We're going to buy a bird bath. Thank you. Very kind of you. You want a full-size bird bath. You want a big bird. The bigger, the better. Yes, right. Okay. Well, we want to annoy a nasty woman, and we'll stick a bird bath in the middle of the lawn. So
yeah, I agree. A big one.
Yes, she wants a big one. Well, we'll buy a big one, and I'll reimburse her once we've all sorted it out. So because YouTube take months to pay, obviously. But we've got £19.99 coming already towards a bird bath. So there we are. There we are. Right. Yeah. You want a bird swimming pool? Yes. Well, why not? Let's have the biggest thing we can possibly buy, just to piss her off. Because quite frankly, it's not very nice to be mean to animals, is it? And yes, give the birds some Razoc salts for the birds. Okay, you have a large plant pot saucer for all your bird bath. Well, I was giving the birds a big plastic bowl, and she objected to that. That was her latest objection. It wasn't to her liking, so I've taken it back onto the lawn. She can't complain about it being on the lawn because the lawn is private property. So anyway, miserable old cow. She can rod off and shove it up her jumper, can't she? It's not very nice to be mean to animals. So we're going to go and buy a bird bath tomorrow morning. That is our task for the day.
That'll be fun.
And we will film the bird bath, and we will share a film with you. And we'll say thank you very, very much to our 2 donors so far, who are Tina De Silva and Pig Pig. Tina De Silva and Pig Pig. I shall write this down because I better remember. Because you are the main. The bird bath will be dedicated to Tina De Silva and Pig Pig, won't it? Because you have kindly given donations towards it. Tina De Silva and Pig Pig. Okay, well, we will go and get a bird bath if the place sells it. Whether it does, I don't know. We'll have to see when we get.
Lovely.
But it would be lovely to have it, and she won't be able to do anything about it because we will embed it in the ground, and then it'll be a solid piece of stone in the ground, hopefully. So we're going to have a nice bird bath, and it's especially for our little birds. So, you've got to give names for the 3 little birds. I've got to go through your list of names. You have given lots of donations of names. I'll go through that tomorrow as well, and we'll make some choices. And whoever comes up with a choice name will give the birds those names. Yes. I didn't imagine I would be like my friend, what's his name, Bill Oddie, going on about birds and bees and all the rest. I was involved in the International Fund for Animal Welfare, and when the security card came round, I pointed this out to him. I've raised a lot of money for the International Fund for Animal Welfare. I've organised events for them. I've done several dinners for them, and I love the International Fund for Animal Welfare. If you want to join a wonderful charity, please join and support it. It helps elephants and giraffes, whales, all sorts of different things all across the world. But the main focus are the elephants in Africa. It's a wonderful, wonderful cause, and they do not waste money on administration. And that's why I like this particular charity. We're not going to call it Gloria Hunniford. Oh, well, there we go. So, yes, well, that's a good name, Gloria Hunniford. Yes, but no, we don't want to call it Gloria. We don't want to look at a bird and think of her. She's not a bird that we want to wake up to, is old Gloria Hunniford. Her and Cilla Black and Cliff Richard, I'd rather forget about people like that. So I wouldn't want to look at a bird. Here we are, $1.99 from Wits End. So thank you to Wits End for a further donation. We've got lots of donations coming in for this evening. So that's very, very kind. The woman is an old crow, the one who's been criticizing. Yeah, well, yeah, she is. She's a nasty old crow. But don't be nasty to crows, because crows are beautiful creatures, actually. I love a crow. Crows are very, very intelligent, as are ravens and rooks. Absolutely beautiful birds. Don't be nasty to them by comparing them to that. You may as well compare her to Janet Evans. We're not going to talk about Janet Evans tonight. We did enough of her last night. That old crow. But, she's you could say, but she's actually not an old crow. She's an old crone. That's what she is, a dreadful person. The German lady is clearly very sad, unhappy, and German. There we are. Jane Hennessy says, yeah, clearly. Well, she's always by herself. which does say something about her, other than when she's got some nasty man around who comes around knocking over the things by the door and telling me off. Pig, pig, well done, pig, pig. It's quite correct. It's not a one-off. Yes. Another $9.99, and yes, you want more. GM Lovely, and Wits End. GM Lovely has given a donation as well. Thank you to GM Lovely and Wits End. The bird bath is going to look very nice. We will go and get the bird bath in the morning. We are buying a bird bath, yes. So there we are. Well, I do think it's very, very kind of you to support the birds, because the birds should not be abused by anybody, should they? No. In the background, have we yes, thank you, all of you, for your donations. It's been very kind. Tina De Silva, Pig Pig, GM Lovely, and Wits End, thank you for your donations towards a bird bath. And tomorrow we'll have a picture of the bird bath, because if we can buy it. I don't know if we can buy a bird bath, but I think we can. I think this garden centre probably has such a thing. Whether it, I don't.
Lots of birds in there.
They sell lots of birds in cages. I don't know whether they sell bird baths, but anyway, we'll find something that we can make into some kind of suitable event for a bird. We'll find some way of doing it. We'll stick it in the middle of the lawn just to annoy the dreadful woman. Yes. We are going to get revenge on the bird-hating woman, because it's not very nice to be so mean and malicious. And even the security guards have been round here and they said, you have a perfect right to give birds water. We didn't discuss whether we can give birds food, but we are allowed to give them water. So we will be getting a bird bath, and that is the end of the matter. And yes, the goal will be to get a bird bath. I don't know what it will cost, but well, we'll see. So there we go. Thank you very much for your support. It's very, very kind. Let the Birds Go 3 says, who's the snitch? Keely says, I love cats. Well, we don't love cats here because they keep digging up all the plants. But many cats are very, very nice. But the cat that comes here belongs to somebody who's moved away and they left the cat behind. And I don't think it gets fed. So it comes around digging up plants. It's not very helpful because we like plants. So, yes, check out on secondhand. Well, I'm only going to be here a few more days because it's time to go back to England shortly, and
at least a week.
Within a week I'll be back in England. So that is going to happen this time because it has to happen because somebody else is coming to visit here, and I need a bit of space, and they need a bit of space, and so that's that. So, but anyway, thank you for your lovely mini cheddars, but they haven't arrived yet. Hopefully they will arrive very soon. It'd be nice to have some mini cheddars before I leave, but there we go. So anyway, there's nearly 90 of you here. It's absolutely fabulous. We're at 18 minutes into the program, and we've yet to get to a topic, but I will talk about Ghislaine Maxwell shortly. And, here's another £5, Tallulah. You'd love a bird bath in your garden, but my whippets would scare off the birds. So you're giving us £5 towards a bird bath. Thank you, Tallulah, £5. That's very nice of you. Thank you very much to you as well. So you're all very generous tonight. That's very generous towards a bird bath because it's not correct to be mean to birds. And this woman had the audacity to send round a man to tell me off for giving birds water.
Naked.
She's a nudist as well. Yes, we don't like her for that reason. But no, look, you're allowed to be a nudist. I know several people are nudists, but I don't want to see her nude. And I have, and it's not a very pleasant sight to see an elderly lady nude. It's not very nice. You shouldn't be doing that. Surely, if anything's breaching the rules, this is not a nudist community that I'm supposedly staying in, as far as I'm aware. So she shouldn't be sitting naked in a little beach chair on the dock. It's not a great look, really. So she can shove up her own whatever, horrible, ridiculous woman sitting there with her no clothes on, going on about birds. And then I've seen her hit a bird with a stick, and that's not very nice. And then she came round shouting at me for feeding the birds. And then she sent a man round to shout at me about giving the birds water while she was having a little lunch party. And he was clearly from her little lunch party. And he came into this house without permission, and he invaded our privacy. Absolutely ungrateful, appalling behaviour. And when I pointed out to him that the birds are protected species in France, he didn't like it. He looked appalled, and he realised he was not going to get anywhere with me, so he left. Well, I called the security guard, and the security guard came round on his bicycle, and he said, "Don't worry about those people. I'll go and have a word with them." So, yeah, they've been told to rod off, basically. If they come round here again, daring to be mean to the birds, they'll get even more of my rocket up their arse. That's what they need, these horrible people. Before I leave here, I don't need to put up with these stupid people. They are parochial and provincial and pathetic. When you live in a rural place like where my father lives, you don't get people behaving like this. People just get along with one another. They don't moan. Yeah, they might have the odd row, but they don't have a row every day. These people, we don't like how you parked your car. One of them this morning said, "Your car is too ugly for the street." It's like, have you nothing better to worry about than your effing Porsche or your stupid Mercedes? These people are very, very odd. The Americans, lovely, lovely Americans here, lovely Northern Irish, lovely Scottish, lovely English, a few nice French, and a few nice Germans. But some of them, the Germans and the Belgians and the Luxembourg, oh my God, the rules, the rules, the rules, the rules, the rules. This place has got too many damn rules that they've invented in their own heads. There are no bloody rules. Where are these rules? I've not seen a copy of these rules. Show me the rules. I can't give a bird some water. Are you deranged? I will give a bird some water if I wish to give a bird some water. And that is exactly what I will do. I think it's ridiculous to be mean to animals. And this mean man who came round here invading my space. I was sat here minding my own business, and he comes banging on the door, and he comes steaming in, knocking things over. And I said, "Who are you?" And he said, "You're not allowed to give the birds the water." I was like, "What? Are you dumb?" The man was dumb. Anyway, he's been dealt with, so it doesn't matter. Let's move on. So we've got 95 people here. Yes, does she wear jack boots, the woman? Probably. Yes, she probably marches up and down the road, yes. I'm sure she probably remembers, who her little favourite. She probably does. When she's not being naked, she's probably, dressed up in what uniform. Oh, probably good for her. Exactly. Horrible, horrible woman. But she's a nasty piece of work, being cruel to animals. I saw her hit one of them, and that wasn't nice. I didn't like that. Nobody should go around hitting birds. So we're going to get a bird bath. That'll be our nice thing to do. So anyway, have you any more questions on any more topics? Let's move along before I talk about Ghislaine. Let's talk about something else. We're 24 minutes in. Let's talk about something else. The stormtroopers are calling for her. Yes, of course they are. Sloths are not pets, precisely. We don't like sloths being kept as pets. Please sign my petition and share it widely. Let's get the keeping of sloths as pets for the likes of Tamara Eccleston banned in the UK. horrible Tamara Eccleston and our horrible old father. What is that father playing at, interfering with Christian Horner? What's he up to? What's Dirty Bernie up to at the moment? He's even turning in his old friend Christian Horner. Is there anybody that Bernie doesn't turn on? Max Mosley, everybody. In the end, Dirty Bernie turns on them. If people aren't useful to Bernie, he's nasty as a snake. He's nasty as a cut snake, that little rat. He's a terrible piece of work, that coffin-dodging creep. He hasn't paid his taxes. Little old lady would be thrown in jail for for not paying a TV license. He gets away with not paying £760 million in tax, and he gets a 2-year suspended jail sentence. Why is that? How did you pull that off, Dirty Bernie? You are a dirty little rat, aren't you? You even tried to pretend that you had a child. You pretend child. You were a new father, so you can't go to jail because you were a new father at 91. Well, why are you having a child at 91, you stupid old goat? You're an absolute piece of rubbish. Nobody likes you, Bernie. You're a horrible old Grinch, and that's what your own daughters call you, the Grinch. And they're pretty useless, spoiled pieces of toe rag, especially Tamara, who goes around keeping sloths as pets in her home. And I don't like people keeping sloths as pets in their home. It's nothing to do with whether I dislike you, Bernie. I just don't like people keeping a sloth as a pet. It is an inappropriate activity. Sloths belong in the rainforest, not in a mansion in Kensington belonging to your spoilt, tepid daughter, who is a complete piece of toe rag, who goes on Loose Women, the worst program on the planet. So, yeah, Bernie Eccleston, that's my rant for the day. Any more topics? Let's go on. Yeah, he's a stupid old Grinch, 2-foot Bernie. Yeah, lots of comments about Bernie. You don't like him. Precisely. No, you don't like Bernie Eccleston. Good. I'm glad to hear it. It's anyone who likes Bernie Eccleston has to have a screw loose. The man is a complete moron. He's been very successful in Formula One, but he didn't get there by chance. He got there by the birds. I think you know what I mean. I won't go there, but honesty is not Bernie's best policy. Bernie is a man who said he admired Hitler. Bernie admired Putin. Bernie thought Hitler was a man who got things done. Bernie is a real class act. He comes out with some real class liners, doesn't he? He thinks women are like washing machines. They should all be wearing white because that's all they're there for. Women are washing machines, he said once. He is a complete weirdo. Bernie is a complete throwback to freakery. He's completely nuts. And that latest wife of his, Fabiana, they launched a company called Celebrity Coffee. How naff is that? What a tacky word. That's like using the word toilet. I cannot stand people who use the word celebrity and the word toilet. They are two words that I hate. They're two words that should be in nobody's vocabulary. You should never use either of those two words. And Bernie uses both. So Bernie, bog off, Bernie. Famous person. You're just a pain in the ass, Bernie. And that's all you are. You're a disgrace. And your celebrity coffee should go down the toilet. Yeah, precisely. That's where it belongs. Bog off, Bernie. We don't like you, Bernie. Yes, how did 2-foot Bernie get so many wives? It's a bit like what Mrs. Merton said to Debbie McGee. What was it about the multi-millionaire Paul Daniels that first attracted you to him? That's the exact thing, but the multi-billionaire Bernie Eccleston, who is no longer a multi-billionaire because everything is in what's called the Bambino Trust. The Bambino Trust is controlled by none other than Slavica Radic. Slavica Radic is Bernie Eccleston's second wife. And when Bernie Eccleston was at war in Germany over his tax dodging and his naughtiness there, which he kind of had to pay off a bit, he put everything in Slavica's name. So Slavica is the controller of the trust. So Bernie has to beg. Bernie is a beggar. Bernie the beggar. And I will keep saying this, and I know they hate this, and I've got the tapes, and I've got the tapes still. So don't think I don't know what you did. I've got the tapes. And I'm not scared of you, Ecclestons. You are a bullying bunch of people. Sam Palmer tried to strangle me in a restaurant, PJ's in Fulham Road. He has been given a community order for what he did to me in that restaurant. It was on tape. The staff were witnesses. The Metropolitan Police were absolutely useless, of course, but we have got a community order against him. So I'm not scared of you, Ecclestons. I will call you out. I've had an incident obviously reported on in the Mirror with Tamara Eccleston, where she screamed at me in a restaurant. That was in the Mirror. You all know about that. Of course, I'm not going to lie and say there haven't been incidents. The Ecclestons and I are not friends. We are anything but friends. I think they are the most horrible, revolting people. With all that money, they could do good for the world. Instead, she takes a sloth and puts us in a mansion in Kensington for her children to play around with. Sloths are solitary animals. Leave the sloth alone, you revolting piece of toe rag, Tamara Eccleston. You are disgusting, you're revolting, you're repugnant. And as for your husband, where is he? He's not been seen in months, old Jay. Good old Jay, who's banned from the city. Just Google Jay. Just Google his offences in the city. He's banned from the city. He's banned. Class act he is. And then the Sam Palmer, who doesn't have any socks. Real class act he is. Obviously, I used to know this James Stunt. I don't speak to James Stunt. I haven't spoken to James Stunt in 5 years. I'm sorry about that because I actually like James Stunt, but things went wrong because of his mad girlfriend. And he's been cleared, but he's going through a bankruptcy, and there's going to be a film. But here I am now declaring my knowledge of what I know. I'll say, I wish James Stunt all the very best for the future. I hope his life works out well because he's actually an intelligent, decent gentleman. And I think, he's been through hell, especially being married to that putrid Petra. And I hope he gets some kind of resemblance of normality back into his life. I hope he gets to see his children. I hope he gets away from the horrible Helena. And I hope he sorts himself out. That's all I shall say about him. But I wish him well. I think that's the best thing to say about James Stunt. We had some good times and we had some very bad times, he and I. And, that's what happens in friendships. And sometimes friendships last and sometimes friendships end. And in the case with him, it's definitely not resumed, in 5 years. But the horrible girl in the middle was a particularly nasty piece of rubbish. She's a daughter of an estate agent, and I apologize to anyone who's a nice estate agent out there, but I'm sorry, she's the daughter of 2 estate agents. That puts me off straight away. We've had a row with an estate agent ourselves here today, so we don't like estate agents, do we? No, we've had a major row, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yes, so we've had a major row with an estate agent in London today about a matter. Estate agents are not to be trusted. I think they should be regulated. I think there is a need to make them more like realtors in New York. They should be made to do exams. I'm giving a positive spin on what estate agents should be here, not a negative. There are some good estate agents out there. There was a nice company called Aylesford. I have no problem with them. They did quite a good job in the recent transactions that we were involved in. But the other firm, Foxtons, are an absolute shower, an absolute bunch of scandalous. She doesn't like Savills either, and we don't like Stratton Parker, and we don't like Cluttons. They're particularly useless. But Aylesford are one of the few that actually do a good job. They're nice people, they're decent, and I like them. There's the odd respectable estate agent out there in the background, but not many. Most estate agents only think of themselves, says Ron M. Yes, precisely. Hugo Clancy says, pick up the phone to Stunt. Hugo, it's impossible to call Stump because he changes his phone number every 5 minutes. So I don't know what his phone number is, so it'd be impossible. I would have called him many years ago, but no, I don't think we'll ever get to that stage. But it's up to him. If he wants to find me, my phone number hasn't changed, so he can call me. In the USA, you can sell a house in a couple of weeks. It never falls through, yes, but it's a better system in America, yes. You've clowns, the estate agents, precisely, yes, awful. Most estate agents are dreadful, yes, well, there we go. We don't disagree with that. Wait for him outside his office, says, and so he doesn't have an office. He's bankrupt. He doesn't have an office. There's no way of meeting him. So there we go. Yes. So anyway, I wish him all the best. That's all I say about him. But estate agents, I wish all the worst to, because all they do is con people. And, I've had my own problems with, Broadstairs with the dreadful letting agent and the dreadful landlady I'd rented the house through. And, the Rental Reform Act is about to change. And I spoke at length this afternoon with a letting agent about this. And obviously, she was speaking from a landlord's perspective rather than a perspective of a tenant. And what she said was, make sure you get your new tenant before November, because then the Rental Reform Act will kick in. And that's why this woman got rid of me, because she wants to be able to get rid of you with no reason. And she got rid of me with no reason. And now you won't be able to get rid of people with no reason. You won't be able to say no to people who are, say, with pets. You're not going to be able to say no. You just have to accept. They're going to make it much more in favor of the tenant than the landlord. And she wanted to get rid of all her tenants. And that's why she got rid of 15 of her tenants. And I know some of the other tenants she got rid of. So I understood what the process was. Horrible, horrible woman, and nasty piece of work. Anyway, she tried to take me to court, and, nothing seems to have occurred. So we're still waiting, but I don't think I think the period's probably timed out by now. So, good luck and good riddance to the old cow, because she was a nasty old bag and another nasty person. I lived there for 3 years, and I was a very good tenant, and I looked after this house, and I kept it immaculately. Did I not?
Absolutely, yes.
And everybody who came there thought it was a very nice house, and it was in very good order. And she didn't complain until this renters reform bill was raised, because she knew that she needed to get rid of all her tenants very quickly before she could go into this problem, so she could get rid of the properties. So that's what she did. And it doesn't matter, because it wasn't meant to last forever. I went there for a period of time, and things end. So things come and they go. And, I've had a message today from my friend Max from Broadstairs saying, when are you in England? And, I love to see the people of Broadstairs. Great people, great place, absolutely lovely place. I had enjoyed so many things there, and I made so many friends, and I will go back and visit. But I hope never to run into her, because I'll give her a piece of my mind, nasty old Renters Reform Bill bitch. So that's what I think of her. 2 Foot Bernie might be a realtor. Yes, he could be in that business. He'd be good at it. Yeah, Bernie would be very good as an estate agent, because he's conniving enough. That's what he is. There we are. So, right. Okay. So, right. There's over 130 of you here. I think I should talk a little bit about Ghislaine. Ghislaine is thinking of trying to manipulate the system again. There are rumblings in the newspapers of Ghislaine getting a pardon and all the rest of it, and Ghislaine naming names. This is Ghislaine telling a pack of lies. This is what Ghislaine does best. Let's be honest with you here. My experience of Ghislaine is Ghislaine likes to stir the pot. Ghislaine is a talented woman. She has a great brain. She went to Oxford. Okay, Daddy paid for her to go to Oxford. She wouldn't have got in otherwise. Let's be honest. She was there with Cressida Dick, Dame Cressida Dick, that nasty policewoman, the one who had ordered the shooting of John Charles de Menendez. She was taught at school by Dame Cressida Dick, the unfortunate name Dame Cressida Dick, the lesbian. She was taught by her father as well at school, and she's been around Dame Cressida Dick for a long time, and that is why there was no investigation in the 1990s when the lady who was then subsequently became my secretary, who lived in Stanhope Mews West, had her Mews house, her flat in a mews, used by the Metropolitan Police to do surveillance on a house believed to belong to a madam, a very upmarket madam. And then nothing happened. They used the house for 2 weeks. And that house was owned by Ghislaine Maxwell. And Ghislaine Maxwell's father, Robert, bought the house for her. And the neighbour has told me all about when Robert Maxwell bought it, because he met Robert Maxwell. And I was amongst the first to expose this story. Channel 4 came to me about this story. And, Epstein and Maxwell were up to no good back in the day, long, long before Robert Maxwell fell off the back of that boat, because Robert Maxwell met Jeffrey Epstein before Ghislaine. Now, Ghislaine claims to the contrary. Ghislaine is a proven liar. This is a woman who hid herself in a way whilst on the run at a house called Tucked Away. And she covered her phone in a piece of tin foil, thinking that would stop anyone tracking it. She's a complete nutcase. She's off her rocker, but she is clever. I will not take it away from Ghislaine. Ghislaine is bright. She's street smart, but she's not savvy. She's not savvy enough. She's socially savvy, without a doubt. Look, all these pictures that have come out with, the people today like that man, Matt Wallace, and the other ones in America on Twitter, with all the videos of Donald Trump, Jeffrey Epstein, and Ghislaine Maxwell together. Why were they all together all the time? Why is Donald Trump backtracking on his election pledge of releasing the names? Why is Pam Bondi not doing her work? Why is Mr. Patel not doing his work? It is disgraceful that these people have lied to the American public, and they have lied to all of us. We want to know who was who was paying for these sex trafficked victims. Who was using these victims? We know lists of names. And the lists of names are an irrelevance, because the books of names, I've written about the books of names for many, many years. Since 2019, I've written about the books of names. I know people in the books of names, like a woman called Sophie Swire. She's a relative of a Conservative politician. She lives off Walton Street in Knightsbridge. She has a fancy mews house. She was a friend of Ghislaine Maxwell. That does not mean that she was involved in anything. It was just she was a friend. The book is full of names that belong to Ghislaine. The book is not Jeffrey Epstein's primary book. It's primarily Ghislaine's book. Yes, there are people in the book that are very much Jeffrey's connections, but Jeffrey Epstein met most of these people through Ghislaine. Ghislaine was the introducer. Ghislaine was the procurer. Ghislaine was the mucky madam. Ghislaine was the chief of the municipality, because Ghislaine's father used Jeffrey Epstein to funnel £500 million of stolen money from the Mirror Group pensioners. And that is the truth of this story. And these silly people who, with all their silly conspiracy theories, and Jeffrey Epstein is an alien. That's the latest one. I saw him and I thought he was an alien, and I was in a laboratory. Now, this lady from South Africa, I'm very sorry, she is a victim of his, but she's talking a load of rubbish. There is no alien. That's a total load of junk. Juliet Bryant, you are totally wrong. You are talking ridiculous things. There was no laboratory. You weren't taken to a laboratory, and there wasn't an experiment, and you clearly were on drugs and hallucinating. That's what happened to you. He probably did drug you, and you're probably imagining things. I'm not being nasty to you, Juliet, but Juliet, I'm very sorry. I think your latest allegation is completely tin pot crazy. It's not suitable for any. Just because Virginia has committed suicide and the other girl committed suicide, it does not mean that you can go around saying that there are aliens involved in the case. There are no aliens. I don't believe in aliens, but you're entitled to believe in whatever you want, but I'm very sorry. Ghislaine Maxwell is a nymphomaniac, says Ron M. Yes, I do believe so. She was a sex mad, crazy woman. Even her dog walker told me that, and her dog walker spent a lot of time with her. And he's a nice gentleman, Swedish, and he was treated very badly by Ghislaine and by Ghislaine's husband, the dreadful man she's now divorced from, the one who ran off with a woman who was into all sorts of weird sex. So. The dog walker let her slip. Well, he definitely did that. Yes, David, he got rid of her. My views on the whole matter are all of this that Ghislaine's going to start talking and Donald Trump's going to start pardoning. No, not yet. Donald Trump will keep her in the clink, in the pokey, as long as he can, because she's best kept where she's not a liability. The last time during the last presidency, she was allowed to speak with Jeremy Kyle. She didn't really say very much of any consequence. She's not going to do anything. She really is just a stupid woman. Ghislaine's supporters are her brothers, who are two twits who have been bankrupt multiple times. Richard Madeley, that revolting man off the telly box. Richard Madeley, the champagne lifter. And Rachel Johnson, sister of Boris Johnson. She's one of the biggest supporters of Ghislaine. There's three sets of dreadful people who support Ghislaine. I don't think there's many other people who support Ghislaine. She's not a very popular lady, and well, it's deservedly so. And I know a number of her victims, and I do believe that this Juliet, who I don't know, I have been on a program with Juliet, but I don't know Juliet. I've never met her. She's a South African lady, and she lives in South Africa. I'm not sure where, but what she's saying is just silly. She shouldn't be saying. This is where they get carried away, these people. And don't come out with silly things like that, because it doesn't help anybody else in the cause. It's the same with, other cases I'm involved in. I say to them, don't start quoting Lucy Letby, because Lucy Letby is not a good example of miscarriage of justice. So don't quote that. I'm very specific in what I feel about criminal cases. And I will say, don't start bringing up crazy theories, because it just ruins your case. In the case of Jeremy Bamber, there was a man who wanted to sing a song about Jeremy Bamber. And I said to them, don't have this man sing this song, because it just makes you look silly. Madeley nicked the cheese. Yes, of course he did. We don't like Richard and Judy. Richard and Judy are one of the most ghastly pairs I've ever come across. You all know that. Lucy Letby justly got a life term, says Leslie S. Definitely, yes. La Bamba, no, it's no Jeremy Bamba, not La Bamba. But there we go. First time I saw Richard and Judy, I thought Judy was his mum. Yes, well, most people do. He called her mummy when he was first introduced to her because she was his TV mummy. That was how he was introduced. She was his TV mummy. So he was, that was exactly true. The song for Bamba, no, the song for Bamba wasn't a good song. So there we go. Anyway, what do you think about this particular matter of Ghislaine Maxwell? Do you think Ghislaine Maxwell deserves to be given a chance for freedom, or do you think Ghislaine Maxwell should be kept in the pokey, the clink, for the rest of her life? What do we think? Farage says Letby needs a retrial. Well, Farage can bog off. He's another prat. Lucy Letby is a dreadful woman. You think she belongs in the clink? Keep her in prison, keep her locked up. She's a despicable person. Lock her up for life. Precisely. I agree with all of you. Every one of you so far has said it correct. Not one supporter of Ghislaine Maxwell thus far. Any supporters of Ghislaine Maxwell on this channel? At 50 minutes, have we got one? There's more people with morals around me than ever, unfortunately, frightened by power. If mental, we're here for short periods in life, it pays to give something back, even a smack on the nose. I don't know what that means, hatchy, but if you want to give Ghislaine Maxwell a smack on the nose, perfectly fine. She should never be free. Don't give her water, precisely. Ghislaine is loathsome. She doesn't deserve to get out because she has friends in high places, precisely. What's the best gentleman's barbers in London? I suppose the one on Curzon Street. I can't remember its name. It's a very traditional barber. I can't remember its name, but very old traditional place. I don't know. I don't know the best barber in London. I'm useless at barbers. I hate getting my hair cut, to be honest, but I need to get my hair cut. Ghislaine is the biggest madam in history, precisely. She's awful. Yes. Poor old Virginia, rest in peace. Truefit and Hill, quite right. Stevie D, you get it. Truefit and Hill, that's the one. Right. So you don't like Ghislaine, okay? Ghislaine is not on your favoured list. I'm quite glad that nobody has come out and said yet anything in support of Ghislaine. Why would anyone do that? Because Ghislaine is a wicked woman, and Donald Trump, you promised as part of your election pledge to release the list, and now you're getting your attorney woman. And going back to my old notes from a couple of days ago, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, Department of Justice, she says, nothing to see here. He wasn't murdered. We're putting this to bed. And as Michael Wolff, the journalist who spent time with both Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein, said, all she does is take instructions from the West Wing. She's meant to be carrying the water for the United States of America, but she doesn't. She's Donald Trump's personal lawyer. And that is what Pam Bondi is. Pam Bondi, you're a disgrace. Pam, bog off Pam. Let's get rid of Pam Bondi. It's an absolute disgrace that Pam Bondi is given her job. And as for Kash Patel, he should leave as well. It's absolute time for Kash Patel and Pam Bondi to exit stage right from the West Wing. We don't need either of those two in the West Wing. Get them out of the West Wing. They are a pair of toe rags. And Donald Trump, how many times did you fly on Jeffrey Epstein's plane? How many times did you party with Jeffrey Epstein? How many times did you come out with Jeffrey's a great guy and he knows lots of girls and he likes them young? Is that the remark of somebody who isn't some kind of weird associate of this freak? And why was it that the Epstein plane always flew close to where Melania came from? There's an interesting question. Melania. Where did you come from, Melania? How did you come about to be in the orbit, Melania? Jeffrey Epstein knew how to manipulate people. Jeffrey Epstein was clever. Jeffrey Epstein started out his life as a nobody. He was a dumb person. He was just a stupid, weird freak. He was very good at mathematics. He was a taxi driver. And then he became a teacher at Dalton. And at Dalton, he was appointed there by Bill Barr's father, Bill Barr, who became one of Donald Trump's associates. Interesting. Interesting connection, that, hey? And at Dalton, he got to meet all the rich people because all their daughters, the daughters were all the children of rich financiers. And that's how he got to meet the rich financiers. And they realized he was very good at mathematics. And that is how he got to go up the ladder. And he went gradually up the ladder, very quickly up the ladder by all accounts. And suddenly he's in the orbit of Leslie Wexner, owner of Victoria's Secrets, amongst other things. And he gives him $100 million mansion for nothing. How does this man suddenly end up where he is, unless he's an intelligence asset? There is something very odd about the rise of Jeffrey Epstein and the fall of Jeffrey Epstein also. The fall was just as amazing as the rise, but the rise was so rapid and involved so many people. Everybody from Naomi Campbell, that little old bag, nasty piece of work, to Prince Andrew, to Leslie Wexner, to, Jess Staley of Barclays and JP Morgan. Everybody came into his orbit. Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, Kevin Spacey. So there were probably a few little boys as well as a few little girls. Let's be honest, with Kevin around, good old Kev, friendly Kev, who, a bit touchy-feely he was. And this is an absolute scandal. And I can show you all sorts of information. And I'm not ready to finish my book on the topic yet. But my book is more about Ghislaine than it is about Jeffrey. But why have we not had the Jeffrey list? We need the Epstein list. We need this because the public have no confidence. And all of these people rightly are calling it out. And I don't blame them. In America, they are angry because they voted for you, Donald Trump, on the basis that you would release this list. It was a very key pledge of yours that you would release the list. Donald Trump, what have you got to hide? Why are you hiding this? Because you went on the plane a number of times. No one is saying you went to the island. Now, even if you went to the island, it doesn't mean you're guilty of abuse. Even if you went on the plane, it doesn't mean you're guilty of abuse. But it's how many times you associated. And Donald, you came out with some very strange remarks about Ghislaine. I wish her well. When she was arrested, you said, I wish her well. And that was whilst you were standing for president. Why do you wish a woman who is a alleged sex trafficker well? That's a very strange remark to make as a wannabe president. So that was a very strange remark back in 2020, Donald Trump. And I do find that Donald Trump has, not answered the questions. Bill Clinton, he's been pictured in airports having massages from the girls that were on the planes. So he's got the pictures with massages on his shoulders. So what was going on with him? And he was sitting there whilst this Juliette Bryant, the lady who thinks the aliens landed, was being in some hotel, the Mount Nelson, I believe, or something it was called, in South Africa. And honestly, both Clinton and Trump, you've got as much to answer for as Prince Andrew, I would say, both of you. And, there was Ghislaine at Chelsea Clinton's marriage. There was Ghislaine with Prince Andrew and Bill Clinton in Buckingham Palace with Kevin Spacey, the horrible Kevin, nasty Kevin. Awful, awful people. So that's my view on that particular topic. Anyway, have you any questions on that particular topic, or would you like to talk about something else? Liberate the birds. There we go. Liberate the birds. Yes, she did sit on a throne at one point during the visit. Yes. Right. So, any questions? Any questions? What do I think of the Idaho murders? Well, if you're talking about the student murders, I don't know much about the case. I'm not an expert on that case. I can't really talk much about it. I think that the man was obviously a very strange man. Yeah, he's confessed he's done it. I don't know. I don't know enough about it to talk about it. I haven't really followed that case. Like I didn't really follow the Beef Wellington case until after it finished. You know, it's there are certain cases that capture my attention, and there are certain that don't. And you can't be involved in everything, so I choose which I'm involved in. I don't know anything. I don't know enough about it, so I will. The Menendez brothers are my American case that I'm interested in. And the Menendez case is going to get more and more interesting. As of today, let me find my little notes. I'll find some notes that I have on that from today. So, the Menendez brothers' conviction faces scrutiny as the judge rules in favor of habeas corpus petition. So, a judge has ruled in favor of habeas corpus petition for Eric and Lyle Menendez. The Menendez brothers' attorneys submitted new evidence in 2023 that they say corroborates their claim of Jose Menendez sexual abuse. Judge William C. Ryan ruled the evidence would have more likely than not changed the outcome of their second trial. There you go. So habeas corpus is likely to come into play. In 2023, this is from Fox 11, and in 2023, lawyers submitted, they said, were two new pieces of evidence corroborating the claims of Jose's sexual abuse. The first was a letter that Eric Menendez sent to his cousin, Andy Cano, in 1989, complaining, sadly, Andy Cano is dead now, but complaining about being sexually abused by his dad months before the killings. Attorney said Cano's mum found the letter just 9 years ago. That was with the involvement of my friend Robert Rand, who is the main journalist in the case. Robert Rand does an excellent job, as does Hazel Thornton, one of the jurors who I know, absolutely fabulous people. Anyway, the second piece of evidence was a sworn statement from Roy Rossello, a member of the band Menendez, in which he claimed Jose Menendez sexually assaulted him in the 80s. Jose was an entertainment executive. Yeah, he was also involved with O.J. Simpson. That's another thing they don't mention in that little bit. But anyway, this evidence convinced former LA County DA George Gascon to review the case for potential resentencing. But months later, his successor, Nathan Hochman, recommended against a new trial for the brothers, specifically calling the alleged letter into doubt. Well, Hochman is a very political man, and Hochman is not doing his job properly. And I'm disgusted that Gavin Newsom, who I did know when he was mayor of San Francisco, haven't seen him in years, but obviously, he's a very powerful politician, and he wants to be president of America. Probably never will be, but he's a bit bonkers. It's about time he did something to support them. In May, a judge resentenced the Menendez brothers, dropping the sentence from life without the possibility of parole to 50 years to life, making them eligible for parole. They should have been paroled a number of years ago. What's next? Hochman and his team have 30 days from the judge's ruling to show why the Menendez brothers shouldn't be granted habeas corpus relief. The brothers will also have a parole hearing on August the 21st and 22nd. I think this is absolutely fabulous news. It's absolutely a piece of wonderful news for the Menendez brothers, because we've been campaigning for the Menendez brothers for over 10 years. And everybody told me, you're mad. You're supporting some stupid people who will never get out of prison. Well, they will. They're going to get out of prison. You mark my words. They're coming out. They'll be out before Christmas. And that's what they need to be. And I want the same for Mark Alexander in England, who Terry Waite, my wonderful friend Terry Waite, who was a hostage for over 10 years himself, a bag over his head, a lovely member of the Church of England. And, he was held in hostage in Lebanon. And he believes that Mark Alexander is innocent of murdering his father. And I do too. And I've been to many of Mark Alexander's court hearings and, spoken with so many of his relatives and everything else. And I've written a lot about Mark Alexander. Mark Alexander deserves justice. Omar Benguit, whose sister is the most lovely lady who I speak to often, he is not guilty of the murder of young Okushi. The serial killer who lived around the corner is the guilty party. We all know that the serial killer who killed somebody else only 3 months later is the killer, Restivo. And that nasty woman that he was living with, she's a shameful person. Shame on her. And well done to the lady who made the BBC documentary about it. And all the other people, like Luke Mitchell in Scotland, his case needs to be re-examined. But most of all, Jeremy Bamber. Jeremy Bamber has been wrongfully imprisoned, and Jeremy Bamber deserves to get justice. We want justice for Jeremy. The CCRC have failed Jeremy Bamber they've taken 4 years to investigate out of 10 pieces of evidence put to them, 4 pieces, and now they say the 4 pieces are not relevant. But what about the other 6 pieces of evidence? And when are you going to get around to investigating them? You're absolutely incompetent, the CCRC, and that poor man Andrew Malkinson, wrongly imprisoned. And it's disgraceful. You want to charge him bed, board, and lodgings for being in prison. What a disgrace. It is revolting how people who are innocent are kept wrongly in jail. People who are wrongly kept in jail, it is a disgrace. So there we are. Anyway, I could go on and on and on and on. I do have a habit of repeating myself. I know some of you think it is appalling. Right. You think you're talking about, I don't know who is a disgrace. Right. Okay. You're having a discussion of your own in the sidelines. Right. Okay. Well, yes, the wrong ones who are the poor buggers who seem to get locked up. The justice system is diabolical, precisely. There are people, of course, who deserve to be locked up, Lucy Letby being one of them. Lucy Letby belongs in the clink. She's not an innocent woman. I don't believe it for 1 second. Lucy Letby should rot in hell, along with Rosemary West. There's another one. There are people out there who believe Rosemary West is innocent. I had a lunch once with Lord Longford's secretary. She's a very, very strange woman. And she always steals all the newspapers at the Chelsea Arts Club every time I go there. And she hoards them, and all the members hate her because she won't let anybody else get near the newspaper, which is a bit mean. But she sat next to me at this lunch. It was the worst lunch I've ever been to, other than with Cilla Black. They're the 2 worst women I've ever had to sit next to at lunch: Lord Longford's secretary and Cilla Black. And Lord Longford's secretary said to me, "Myra Hindley is the most lovely lady on the planet." And that was her opening gambit. And I looked at her and I thought, oh my God, how am I going to talk to you for half an hour? Because, you're meant to talk to the person on the left and the person on the right. So I had to listen to this nutcase telling me how, Myra Hindley was a decent woman, a child killer. If I met somebody who thought, if I had to sit next to Nadine Dorries, for example, who believes that Lucy Letby is as innocent as the spring lamb, she's an absolute complete fruitcake, is that Nadine Dorries. And her recent article banging on about how she wasn't given a pass to go and visit her. Why on earth would anyone want Nadine Dorries visiting in the first place? But why would you even want to go and visit Lucy Letby? You've got to be there's two fruitcakes who actually do belong together. Put in Casey Hopkins, and you've got the witch's grim, haven't you? When shall we three meet again? Not impressed by all of that. So yeah, birds of a feather. Yes, she is off her nut precisely. Right. Anyway, it's nice to have so many of you here. Hundreds of you here. That's very nice. A few hundred. It's quite nice. And yes, what did I think of the New Yorker article on Lucy Letby? I haven't read the New Yorker article on Lucy Letby. Hey, Tigers. No. Perhaps you could send me the link. That would be very nice if you could. But don't send it on here. Send it on editorial@thesteepletimes.com, and then I'll give it a read, because I will not remember it from here, because all these hundreds of messages, it's too many. It'll get lost in the milieu. It'll get lost in the soup, as they say. There's a mental woman in my soup, says Cadders. Waiter, there's a mental woman in my soup, precisely. Yes, well, there are a couple of hundred of you here, so it's sort of doing okay. Leslie says New Yorker is subscription only. No, it's not. I get many articles from the New Yorker, and they're not all subscription, no. Jeremy Bamber article was behind a paywall. Well, it wasn't behind a paywall for me, so I don't know how it works. Look, you're looking at the technical equivalent of a Luddite. I'm a complete moron when it comes to technology. But I can get it, so I don't know why you can't get it. I'm bamboozled. I don't have a clue. So there we go. Anyway, I don't know if Madam is complaining she's cold. Are you complaining you're cold?
No.
She's not cold today, so we don't need to close the window quite yet. So there we go. Right. Right. You can read the current stuff, but not the old ones. I don't know. I'm very sorry. I cannot answer on how the New Yorker's subscription model works. I do have a quiz about the New Yorker. I don't know whether I asked it you yet, or whether it's in the next quiz. So I was listening to a wonderful BBC Radio 4 program about 1925, because of course, we're in 2025, so there was a program about 1925, and it was all about the year that the New Yorker was founded. So yes, the New Yorker. It was a reaction to the need to have something a bit more avant-garde and something a bit more analytical and fact-checking. And the New Yorker is renowned for fact-checking, and that's why the article about Jeremy Bamber was so good. It was 18,000 words. Great work by the New Yorker, and great work by Heidi Blake, the author of the article. I do think something like that is very necessary in a case like that, and it changed the narrative. And we've got the Daily Mail on side, and the Mirror, and the Guardian with Jeremy Bamber now. We've got all of those papers, and they are from very different political leaning factions. And Jeremy now has some good supporters, and I've tried to say this to the Jeremy Bamber supporters groups. It is a fantastic thing to have supporters from a wide array of backgrounds, because it gives more credibility. They've got Peter Tatchell, who's been supporting him for years, who's, the gay rights campaigner, and, he gets all worked up about lots of things. And they've got an ex-Conservative MP who's supported them for years. And they've got, a whole array of people who've supported Jeremy. And Jeremy Bamber just needs justice. It's time for justice for Jeremy. And I went from being 40% convinced the man was innocent to 99%, and I stand by it now. I'm totally convinced of his innocence. Like the Lucy Letby loonies believe that Lucy Letby is innocent, but Lucy Letby is facing more charges. Lucy Letby will be charged with more crimes, most likely, because Lucy Letby, she wrote stupid letters saying she did it. The woman's completely mad. She's off her rocker. Definitely insane. And those weird parents. Here we go. We've got the lovely birds. You can have a bit of the birds. The birds, the birds, the birds. It sounds like something from Alfred Hitchcock in the background. Bit of noise, but anyway, a bit of entertainment in the background. So there we go. She's a serial killer, says Leslie. Well said, Leslie. We don't like Lucy Letby, do we?
Hate her.
There you go. In the background, we hate her. So there we go. Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Precisely. Yes. Well, Lucy Letby is not leaving anywhere today. Lucy Letby is going to Rossend Jail, where she rightly belongs. What do I think about Trump coming to the UK for a second state visit? Do you think the king is saying thanks for helping his awful brother and offering a hand up? It's nothing to do with his brother. No, it's to do with Keir Starmer, who is trying to play games. Keir Starmer is the game player here. Keir Starmer wants to keep Donald Trump on side because Keir Starmer is trying to remain popular. So he thinks that this might help him, but it's a very strange strategy, I would say. Not a good thing. The birds are ruining the program. Be quiet. Well, they're not doing too badly. They've behaved a little better than normal. They're not that noisy. SS Racing, but
Very good.
Right. You love the birds. Okay. Right. Okay. Well. Yes. Well, Starmer doesn't know his head from his arse. Well, I totally agree. Absolutely awful. Right. I'm not going to talk about other people on other channels. I don't think it's appropriate. I like Sean Atwood and Ron Swanson and Jen Hopkins. Nice people, and I have absolutely no problem with them. So I'm not going to go down the route of denigrating anybody. And I'm just going to say, I think they're perfectly pleasant people. I occasionally go on their programs but I do my own thing. My own thing is my own thing, and that's the thing. It's very nice to go on those things because sometimes you meet other people who then come over to join us here. So, you might get some new people to join you, and it's great to have all of you. Jane Hennessy, Watch and Report, Leslie S, A Tigers, Jules B, Tandaluz. Sorry, excuse me. Nicola Mooney, SS Racing, GN, Ron M, Hatchie, Wits End, Dixie, and Tina De Silva, all the rest of you. It's nice to have a mixture of people. So a mixture of people is no bad thing. So, I don't mind going on other people's programs, like I go on Talk TV or other things. It's nice to do different things. And, I've been approached to do other programs lately, which I haven't done. But, there've been a couple where they wanted me to talk about strange things. And I actually thought, well, no, it's not for me. But, JFK conspiracies. And, I'm not an expert on that. So I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to be involved in such things. And wonderful Pig and Wits End. And yes, you like to watch me with Sean Atwood, says Jane Hennessy. Would I go on Piers Morgan? I think Piers Morgan actually is a very good commentator. He's very good at stirring the pot. I did used to know his wife, Celia Walden. Haven't seen her in years, but obviously Piers Morgan is doing very well with Piers Uncensored. I think it's a good program, and he certainly manages to stir the pot. So nothing wrong with that. But I don't like GB News, for example. I'm not a great fan of that. But everything has its place, other than Richard Madeley. Richard Madeley and Loose Women, they're the two things that should be taken off the air. And the one person who deserves more airtime is Lorraine. I love Lorraine. Lorraine Kelly, the gobbledygook, the queen of gobbledygook, is the best. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
We like Lorraine because Lorraine stirs the pot and does it in a clever way.
Top of the pops.
Lorraine is a very clever lady. She's not like Richard and Judy. She's got talent. She's not like, those dreadful Loose Women. And, it's terrible that Lorraine's getting less airtime and, As for that Holly Willoughby, throw her down the well. She's an absolute pest. Can't stand her. The Q jumper. And as for Philip Schofield, I hear he's got a new boyfriend. How nice for him. Hope he's having a lovely time. But please, we don't want you back on the telly box. Please go away. Go back and play around with Gordon the Gopher. That's what you should be up to, you horrible little rat. Absolutely reprehensible Q jumping creep is old Scof. It was very rude to my mother on one occasion, so we don't like you. My mother is a particular, she didn't even know who you were. Horrible, horrible man. Trying to push us out of the way at the Chelsea Flower Show because you thought you were famous, you stupid old fool. No, we're no fan of Philip Schofield. Scof and his, Gordon the Gopher with his hand up its bum. Yeah, we know what.
Get rid of him.
Awful, awful man. Cliff Richard, he needs to go. Creepy Christian crooner, what a creep. Once he's gone, in recent days, it's been reported no one wants to buy Rolf Harris's house. Well, are you surprised? Can you see what it is yet, mate? As he would say. Timey kangaroo down, or whatever he came out with, didgeridoo. That house was the scene of the abuse of many people. Why would anyone want to pay £4 million for a house that's supposedly worth a maximum of £2 million? And it needs to be pulled down anyway because he'd want to get rid of every piece of revoltingness that him and that creepy wife of his with Bindi Nichols, with her beads in her hair, that freak. Honestly, what a dreadful pair. And as for that dreadful daughter, she's already got 16 million from the will, so she's in no great hurry to sell the house. You can't find it online for sale anywhere. It's for sale through someone called Benson International, but they don't even list it on their website. I have managed to find out a few details about it, but it's called Highlands. It's in Maidenhead, Bray, near Maidenhead. And why would you want to buy Rolf? Why would you say, "Oh, I'm going to go down and buy myself for £4 million Rolf Harris's former home"? It's like buying Jimmy Savile's house. It should have that had sprayed all over it, nonce, pedo, all the rest of it. And that house should have everything sprayed all over it as well. It's disgusting. Pull it down like they did with Jeffrey Epstein's house, which was bought by some South Africans, and they live in Palm Beach now in the house that they built on the site of Jeffrey Epstein's house. But still, it's still Jeffrey Epstein's address. 1900 whatever Murillo Way. Why would you want to live in the address of a horrible person? It's not a very nice thing because you have the ghosts of Christmas past, and they're not going to be the nice ghosts of Christmas past. I can tell you that. So yeah, two little boys. Yeah, precisely. Rolf's house should come down. You think so should Buckingham Palace? I don't think Buckingham Palace is as guilty as Rolf's house, no. Jane Hennessy says Jimmy Savile's house in Scotland is going to be pulled down about time. Well, it was burnt. There was a fire there, so it will be pulled down. And some Indian people have bought it and are going to build some kind of huge house there. And there's lots of controversy because obviously it's in a very famous glen and it is in a beautiful location. And it was owned by an amazing explorer before it was owned by Jimmy Savile. So I can't remember his name, but anyway, that's a different matter. So the urban explorers go into Savile's house. Well, yeah, because it's empty. It's waiting to be demolished. So will Harris's house. His house will go, and the same occurred with that man who did It's the Royal Knockouts, Stuart Hall, his house. No one wanted that house because who wants to buy a house where people have been abused? It's not a nice look, is it, really? Where do you live? Oh, it's like buying Michael Barrymore's bungalow. Why do you want to buy the bungalow where poor Stuart Lovett was raped and murdered with a pool thermometer and a door handle?
Oh.
It's not a very nice thing, is it? Why would you want to live in such a house? I've written many articles about murder houses and, being for sale. And the price is often, overinflated because they think that they can get more for it. Well, the actual reality is they get far less because nobody wants to live in a scene of crime, of some horrible, really bad crime. So there we go. I finished my gin and tonic. And right, I think it's now time for a quiz. We've done 1 hour and 25 minutes. So I'm going to have a glass of white wine to go with the quiz. And we're going to see if Miss Marple can succeed again or Anne of Cleves can get 6 points. Anne of Cleves did very, very well the other day. Anne of Cleves was our first person ever to get 6 points out of 20. Now, that is a major achievement in our quiz. It might not sound like a major achievement, but to be the first person to get all the answers out of, several hundred people in the background, well done to Anne of Cleves and well done to Miss Marple, who consistently gets 3 points or 4 points. And to all the rest of you who do the same. So, right, I've got my green pen at the ready. And I'm going to ask your first quiz question. Let's have a go. Let's see. Are we ready for a quiz? Are you ready? Are you ready to go? Are you ready and raring to go? We've talked a bit about murder houses. We've talked about all sorts of things I didn't expect to talk about. We've talked about Ghislaine, which I did expect to talk about. And yes, let's go, says Tina De Silva. And Dixie says rugby. There's no rugby. I don't think there's a rugby question in this quiz tonight. So, no, avoid the rugby, let's say. Okay, who are the 2 stars? And I need both of them. I need both names. You have to give both names in full, Christian name and surname. I'm going to be very specific on this quiz because I think it's time that I was more specific. I want Christian name and surname. If you don't give both names, full names, then you won't win the point. Of the 2015 erotic drama 50 Shades of Grey, who were the 2 stars? It wasn't Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders, no. No, eyes down, precisely. It wasn't Aunt Martin and it wasn't Tom and Jerry. Lucy Worsley gets the point. Of course, it was Jamie Dornan and Dakota Johnson. So well done to Lucy Worsley, 1 point. It's been naive young literature student affair with mysterious billionaire, translated into 52 languages, record as fastest selling paperback, as the novel, of course, of all time. Dark Desires, best-selling novel by E.L. James. It was originally self-published. There you go. Right, okay. What in Liverpudlian slang does scally mean? What is a scally in Liverpool? What's a scally? What does it mean?
Piece of rubbish.
Right. I can accept wrongen. It's a person who's causing trouble. Scally can mean scallywag Leslie, but it's more meaning of someone who is causing trouble. So a wrongen, I think, is the closest thing to it. So and 723 gets the point. And 723, I'll give you the point. It is basically a wrongen, yes. So in Northumberland slang, what does Ganhyam mean? Ganhyam, spelled Ganhyem. Ganhyam. What does Ganhyam mean? Steve R gets the point. Go home. So if you wanted to merge the two, you could say Scally Ganham. So you'd mix a bit of Liverpudley and a bit of Northumberland, and you'd say Scally, go home. So that would be a useful thing if you didn't like someone. Now, I should say that to the German, shouldn't I? The nasty bird hater. I'll say Scally Ganham. Yes? And that's if she comes around here again, I'll say Scally Ganham. She won't have a clue what I'm talking about.
Scallywag.
No, Scally Ganham. It means Scally, go home. Or it means wrong and go home. So there we go. So yeah, bog off and gang home. Yeah, that's what we say to bird haters, don't we? We don't like people who hate the birds. So anyway, well done to Steve R, who got the point. Next question. In which English county was the actor, the Honourable Nigel Havers, born on the 6th of November, 1951? Where was Nigel Havers born on the 6th of November, 1951?
Sorry.
The answer in the background is incorrect. It's not Kent, it's not Essex, it's not Yorkshire, it's not Berkshire, it's not Lancashire, it's not Gloucestershire, it's not Stockport, which is not a county, it's not Suffolk, it's not Oxford, which is not a county, it's not somewhere posh, which is not a county, it's not Oxfordshire, it's not Kent, it's not Dorset, Yorkshire, but T.G. Wilson gets the point. Well done, T.G. Wilson. It was Middlesex. He was born in Middlesex in Edmonton, the younger of two sons of Sir Michael Havers, barrister and Attorney General for England and Wales. His mother was Caroline Lay, an author. Of course, he was in Chariots of Fire, Coronation Street between 2009 and 2019, theatre, pantomime, Three Wives, some controversy over his wives, and Old School Englishman, they say, and quintessential old school Englishman. But he used to come to La Brasserie, and it was a bit of an old Lothario, was old Nigel Havers, and probably still is. Right, in which year was Joan Hickson's co-star in Miss Marple, Irene Sutcliffe, born on the 12th of July? Miss Irene Sutcliffe, what year was she born? It wasn't 1932 or 1982. How could she be born in 1982 if she was in a thing with, or 1999 if she was in a thing with Joan Hickson? No. It wasn't 1925, but you are close. Hey Tigers is close. Lucy Worsley gets the point, though. Lucy Worsley goes into the lead. It was 1924. She played Maggie Clegg in Coronation Street from 1968 to 1975. She had a long career from 1953 to 2015. Brought up in Burnley, her father was an ironmonger. She died in 2019 at the age of 94. Right, I don't know what's going on here, but right, okay. In which year did, this is a question that relates to where I grew up, one of our neighbours. In which year did William Robinson in Forton in Lancashire found Robinson's Seeds and Plants, home of the Mammoth Onion? Which year did he found the Mammoth Onion Company? Growers of huge vegetables, Royal Horticultural Society, Victoria Medal of Honour. Right, okay. Have we got any good answers? No, not yet. No. T.G. Wilson gets another point. 2 points to T.G. Wilson because the answer is 1860. Well done to T.G. Wilson. So T.G. Wilson now has 2 points. Okay. Right. In which country would you find Roca Bruja, the Witch's Rock? Is the alternative name, a favoured destination for surfers? Which country would you find it? Roca Bruja. It's not France, no. It's not Gowan, it's not Belgium, it's not Spain, it's not Italy, it's not France, it's not Italy, it's not Australia, it's not Spain. It's not New Zealand. No. No, no, no. It's not Portugal. It's not Mexico. It's not Chile, but it is Lucy Worsley getting a third point. Well done to Lucy Worsley. You are now in the lead with 3 points, Lucy. Well done. It's, of course, Costa Rica, 130 million year old favored destination for surfers. It's a rock formation, unpredictable temperament, and fabled wind. Local surf business owner Hannah Storrow Carell said the witch has many moods. It's a moody witch's rock. So there you go. So if you want to go for a bit of a moody surf, go to the witch's rock. Well done to Lucy, who's got 3 points now. Right. What favoured by stars, including Eddie Merckx, and compared to Ferraris for the quality of the way in which they are made, did the Milanese firm Colnago make? Colnago. What did Colnago make? What do they make?
Vic Falls.
They don't make Victoria Falls, no. They don't make tyres, they don't make cars, they don't make Cadillacs. But 723 gets a second point. They make bicycles, of course. They make the most amazing bicycles. Founded by Ernest Colnago, he has worked on for the firm since 1945 and still going at 93 in 2025. Giero numero 1 sold for £133,000, the bicycle, at Sotheby's in 2023. £133,000 for a bicycle. Can you believe it? But there we go. Which make of car set a new world speed record for a roofless car by reaching 282.04 miles per hour in 2024? Which make of car? I need the make of the car. It wasn't a BMW. Hey Tiggers gets it. Hey Tiggers. So I don't know if you're Hey Tiggers or Hey Tigers, but I just call you Hey Tiggers. You get 1 point. Of course, it was a Bugatti. It was a Bugatti Mistral, and it was at Papenburg Proving Grounds, north of West Germany. It was orange and black in colour. Okay, there we go. So, well done to all of you. We've got Lucy Worsley in the lead with 3 points. We've got And723 with 2 points, and T.G. Wilson with 2 points, Steve R. with 1 point, and Hey Tiggers with 1 point. Cheers to you all for being achievers. And cheers to the rest of you for joining in, but you are the weakest links because you didn't get the points, did you? So there we go. Okay, after ceasing to be Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom in 2015 and losing his Sheffield Hallam seat in 2017, which firm in California did Sir Nick Clegg become Vice President of Global Affairs and Communications for? Which firm did he go to work for after losing his seat? Old Nick Clegg, Liberal Democrat Nick Clegg. I can accept Facebook from Cadders. Cadders, I'll accept Facebook. It became Meta, obviously, but it was at the time Facebook, yes. Facebook Inc. It was renamed Meta Platforms in 2021. He stepped down in 2025. He was paid very, very handsomely, and God knows who he's working for next. But I don't think life will ever be too hard for Sir Nick Clegg, will it? So he's got plenty of wonga in the bank. A bit like, not quite as much as Rishi Sunak, who's just been appointed at good old JP Morgan, and will be giving his salary to charity, he claims. So nice old, when you're married to a billionairess, you don't really need the salary, do you? So he's just going to give the money away. Oh, how kind of him. He wasn't very good as a prime minister, was he? So there we are. Next. Okay. Well, at least he wasn't Liz the Lettuce. As a thank you gift to the United States for the $40 million in food and other supplies sent to France and Italy, which in the 1940s, which 49 boxcars was gifted after being conceived by the French railroad worker André Picard, what was it known as? What was the train known as? It wasn't Hornby. The train that was gifted to America by the French and the Italians as a thank you gift, what was it known as? Lucy Worsley gets a 4th point. It's the Mercy train. It's the train that said thank you. So they said thank you very much for all the kind donations that ranged from dolls and food and bits of things, and it was all given in these boxcars. And there was a wonderful Radio 4 program about it only a couple of days ago. So look it up. I think it was called the Thank You Train or something. It was also known. Sorry, my throat. The Mercy Train is what it was called. It was the French Gratitude Train, donations from 6 million citizens. And it was a very nice thing. And there were about 40 odd of them left, 49 of them left, and they were all in different states. And they contained all sorts of things, like some of Napoleon's medals, even.
Any wine.
I'm doing my quiz. Let me just finish the quiz. Sorry. The quiz is being interrupted by someone demanding some wine. So, right. Can you give me one moment? It's not fair that I have to be interrupted, but I will do it just to secure the peace. But anyway, I will be back in 1 second. I don't know where we're up to.
Your audience agree
It's
with
not
me.
fair. You mustn't
They look after me.
You mustn't interrupt the quiz. You're drinking too fast. Keep the bottle over here. In case of more problems. Right.
I see you taking the bottle.
I'm putting it here in case of more problems. I want to get on with my program. Honestly, sorry. I do apologize. Sorry. Yes. Sorry about that. Right. Okay. Yes. So, right. Okay. Next question. Where was I up to? We did the thank you train. Which Welsh lover of Auguste Rodin, with a famous artist brother of the same surname, painted the Brown Teapot, housed at the Yale Centre for the British Art? What was her name? What was the name of the painter? It wasn't Charlotte Church. It wasn't Jones or Cecily. I need the full name anyway. It wasn't Cadbury, no. It was Gwen John, precisely. So Lucy Worsley now has a 5th point. Lucy Worsley is coming up to being a close second to one of our winners with 5 points. Of course, it was Gwen John. So Gwen John was the sister of Augustus John, of course. And she was recognized as a talented portraitist of women sitters and still life. And her brother was a very respected painter himself. So in her lifetime, and of course her lover, Rodin, was obviously somebody who was also well known. There we go. Anyway, next question. In July 2025, how many 100 million people worldwide were expected to watch the Masters, with its footage also of County Antrim, Northern Ireland coastline, which is going on this week? So how many 100 million people are going to watch? It's not 14, it's not 15, it's not 700, it's not 150, it's not 200, it's not 6, it's not 150, it's not 23 million, it's not 38. Leslie S is very close. I'll give the point to Leslie S because Leslie S says 550. It's 500 million, so I'll accept the 550. Well done, Leslie S. Okay, how many hundred years ago was the giant flightless bird, the giant moa, overhunted to extinction on the South Island of New Zealand? And don't mention the German neighbour because she would have definitely hunted it to extinction. She would definitely go for it. So how many 100 years ago was it hunted to extinction? I'll take the closest. No. Let's see if we get a bit closer. Any more options? Any more to be sure? We're not there yet. Wits End is close. No, Wits End gets it. Wits End is getting a point. It's 600. 600 to Wits End. Wits End gets the point. 600 years ago. But, of course, good old Herman down the road, she would have been out there with a wooden bit of stick beating it to death, wouldn't she? That's what she'd be doing. She doesn't like birds, and she doesn't like them even having a bit of water. So people who don't like birds having water, don't worry. We're going to have a bird bath here tomorrow, aren't we? Yes.
In the bird bath.
Yes, we don't like people hurting birds. So they are allegedly going to try and bring back the giant moa, but I don't think that's going to work out. I don't think recreating animals. We're not in Jurassic Park, so it's a silly idea. It was some stupid article in the Financial Times I'd read that inspired the question. Okay, which Arizona-born artist, with reference to cattlemen being killed and hundreds of animals being killed in Crosby County, Texas, wrote "Ghost Riders in the Sky," a cowboy legend in 1948?
America.
Well, America is not the answer. No, that's a stupid answer. That's a stupid answer. Who wrote the song America? America don't write songs. No, that's a silly answer. You don't like people feeding pigeons, always oddballs and nutters. It wasn't Jim Morrison. No, it wasn't Jim Morrison. But Audrey gets the point. It was Stan Jones. I think, Audrey, you are quite correct. Oh, we're getting noise behind us. Some noisy noise. Must be a boat. Anyway, never mind. Sorry about the light. The light is absolutely shocking. I'm looking even worse than I did before. I'm going to have to turn the light this way. It's the worst lighting I've ever known. Right. So well done to Audrey. Of course, it was Stan Jones. So Stan Jones. Where is it? Yes, Stan Jones. He wrote about shadowy riders, the ghost riders of the sky, a cowboy driving them over, appearing out of the night and causing chaos, driven by demons and out of the sky. There you go. It was a bit of a myth in Texas at that time, so about all these poor cattle that were being driven in the same place over a cliff, and people died and animals died, so not very nice. Okay, so next question. In which country would you find Odessa? Where would you find Odessa?
Sweden.
It's not Sweden, no. Strange. Hey Tigers gets the point, so second point for you. It's Ukraine, of course. So it's the southern part of Ukraine. It was founded in 1794 by Empress Catherine II among the wild grasslands of north of the Black Sea. It became at once its most mercantile, cosmopolitan, unruly city. Its main export was grain, and now, of course, it's being bombed. And everyone's trying to remove every statue of every Russian that existed within it. So there we go. As of 2025, which is the biggest wine company in the world? Which is the biggest wine company in the world?
California.
The biggest wine company. California is not a company. Shouting in the background, we do get some very strange answers. I do apologize for the strange answers. It's not Berry Brothers and Rudd, no.
Oh,
It's not Veuve Clicquot. It's not Yellowtail. It's not Diageo. It's not Blue Nun. It's not Black Rock. It is E and J Gallo. I can accept E and J Gallo, Gallo of California. So Lucy gets a 6 point, which gives us a second person on a 6 point achievement in our quiz. Right, so they were founded in 1933. They produce over 3% of the world's annual supply of 35 billion bottles of wine. Their annual revenue is $5.3 billion. They're the largest family-owned winery in the USA. They're based in Modesto, California. There you go. So I'm not ignoring anyone's answers, T.G. Wilson. You have got 2 points. You've got 2 points. No, I read them in the order they come in on my screen, and I only accept answers in the order that they come in on my screen. I will not have my quiz judgmental skills questioned when I'm meant to have somebody helping me do the scores, but I do the scores myself in these days. So anyway, it's my quiz, and I'll do it my way. And if you don't like it, get out of my pub, as they would say. So no, not having it. You've got 2 points. Hey, T.G. Wilson, you've done very well to get 2 points. Sadly, you're not winning my quiz, but you are on 2 points. So there we go. Yes. Jules B say Lucy got it first on my screen. I'm sorry, it's whoever got it first on my screen. I'm the one making the judgment. It's my game and it's my rules, and I'll play it my way. I can only look at the screen in the order it comes in. So if you don't like the quiz, don't join in. If you don't want to do it, don't bother. But you're very welcome to join in. We love having you all here, but please don't question my rules. It's my way or the effing highway. So get out of my pub if you don't like it, okay? We're not having anyone else challenge my rules. It's me or you. So I'm going to win every time. So thank you very much. Thank you. Got a bell going off in the background just to give you a fair warning. So there you go. Right. Okay. In which New York ballroom was Malcolm X assassinated on the 21st of February 1965 with 21 gunshot wounds? Isn't that ironic? 21 on 21. Which was the name of the ballroom? It wasn't the Plaza. It wasn't the Hilton. It wasn't the Starlight. It wasn't the Harlem. It wasn't the Blitz. It wasn't Madison Square Garden. But T.G. Wilson does get the point. So, T.G., you have got there first this time. So, quit your complaining. You now got 3 points. You're now in second place, T.G. Wilson. Well done to you. It was the Auburn Ballroom. And yes, there were 3. gunmen. There have been many conspiracy theories. It was redeveloped to accommodate the Malcolm X and Betty Shabazz Memorial and Educational Center in 2005. And of course, there are many, many theories about the death of Malcolm X, just as there are about JFK and Martin Luther King and everybody else. So all the theories are out there. Lynn says, we're all winners. Precisely, you're all winners. Thanks for joining in. It's nice to have people who join in. We now have got more noise from a boat. I don't know what's going on out there. Strange time to be moving a boat around. 2201. Very odd. Very odd indeed. Okay, right. Well, your final question, penultimate question, Penultimate question. I don't know if this will change the game, but it possibly could. Which Frenchman came up with the theory of mimetic rivalry? Mimetic rivalry, i.e., human beings ultimately choose the objects of their desire based on what others desire. Who came up with that theory? Which philosopher came up with the theory of desire, basically? Choosing what you want to desire. It wasn't Macron, and it wasn't Napoleon, and it wasn't Rene, it wasn't Foucault. It was Lucy Worsley. Gosh, you got it correct. Well done. Lucy's very quick. She's got 7 points. Now, Lucy has broken the world record of our quiz with 7 out of 20. Well done, Lucy. It's René Giraud. All learning is based on the imitation, he said. Okay, and the final question, which I don't think will change the outcome. In July 2025, how much did Ferrero, the Italian group behind Nutella, agree to pay for the breakfast cereal group WK Kellogg in $1 billion? How many $1 billion did they pay? How many $1 billion did they pay?
50.
It wasn't 50, no, and it wasn't 6.8, and it wasn't 125 million. That's not $1 billion. It's not 2.7. It's not 15. It's not 5. It's not 9.2. It's not 2 sandwiches. It's not 15, and it's not 33. It's
24.
It's 3.1. Well done to Lucy Worsley. So Lucy Worsley has 8 points. Lucy Worsley is a world record-breaking contestant in this quiz. So well done to Lucy. Lucy Worsley is the winner. Winner, chicken dinner, 8 points. So is it 8 points? Yes, 8 points to Lucy out of 20. So Lucy has done very, very well. She's either very, very quick and very quick indeed. Yes, well done to her. Unfortunately, I cannot give you a second quiz because I haven't finished the quiz. That was quiz number 114. Quiz 114, I've only got to 4 points in. So I'm not ready to give you that until tomorrow. So, some days I'm well ahead and some days I'm well behind. And this morning I had a lot of admin to do and a lot of miserable people moaning at me. So, there we are. So, yes, well done to Lucy, who has achieved 8 points out of 20. That's a record in our quiz. And have we any more questions? We're now at nearly 2 hours, so thank you very, very much. We're not saying goodnight just yet. Have we more questions? Let's have some more questions. I'm quite happy to do more questions. I just can't do more quizzes because I don't have more quizzes because that's the extent of where I've got to on that quiz. So I've got to write that one. But anyway, Lucy Worsley has gone down in the book as winner of the most points ever. So that's quite a landmark. Well done with 8 points. We didn't have one question rejected, so we've done well on that quiz. Even with some very obscure questions, I think my obscure questions are actually better for you all. So there we go, yes. Right. Would I remake 60 Shades? I've never watched 60 Shades, so I don't know. I don't know anything about it, really, because I've never watched the program. So what do I think on Greg Wallace's U-turn? What's Greg Wallace done a U-turn on? He blamed autism yesterday, didn't he? I don't know. What's he done today? I have no idea. I haven't seen a newspaper today because today is Bastille Day in France, so there were no newspapers, so I haven't received any newspapers, so I haven't read any. What do you think happened with Greg Wallace? I think Greg Wallace is just a strange, weird man. He's not right in the head, is he? Something quite weird about him. Never met the man. My friend did have a restaurant in one of his hotels by Greg Wallace, and they fell out in the end. So all I know is that it didn't work out. So I don't know. He doesn't seem to be a very likable sort, does he? He's definitely not the kind of man you'd want around, by the sound of it. Right. He's admitted he can't cook. Says Ron M. Well, he can eat, though. Well, he's definitely a bit chubby, isn't he? Lucy Worsley says, could you change your mind about me? Change my mind about you in what sense? How would you like me to change my mind about you? Just 1 hour quiz. Well done to you. I don't know what I'm meant to change my mind about. Completely confused. SS Rating says he faked it with microwave meals. Lucy says, I said rotten things about you the other day. Well, the historian of the same name, I'm not a great fan of, so no, I don't really like it. You're not the real Lucy. You're not that Lucy Worsley. I don't believe you are. So, I don't believe you are. Why would you be wasting your time with me? I don't think so. No, I don't think that's likely. But anyway, whoever you are, you're very nice. I think you're very pleasant. So there you are. I don't think you are the Lucy Worsley. Right, so I'm going to look at your YouTube channel. No, you've only got 1 subscriber. You're not the same person. I'll press subscribe to you, Lucy Worsley, but you are not Lucy Worsley, the historian. So, no, I've been talking about the historian, Lucy Worsley. No, you've got a bit confused, I think. Yes, 15th century manuscript. No, you're not the same person, Lucy Worsley. You're a different Lucy Worsley. That's what I'm pointing out to you. The Lucy Worsley who's the historian is highly irritating. And you're definitely not her. You've got a picture of a cat, and that's it. And you've got 1 subscriber. Now you've got 2 because you've got me. So there we go. Yes, I don't think... please subscribe to this Lucy Worsley, the Lucy Worsley on here, who enjoys quizzes. Well, let's get Lucy Worsley some subscribers. So please subscribe to Lucy Worsley. Her channel, I'm going to share with you. No, that's somebody else. Oops, I pressed the wrong one. Lucy Worsley, go to channel. Right, she's got 2 subscribers now because she's got me and somebody else. And now she can have a couple more. I'm going to give you her thing. Please subscribe to Lucy Worsley. There you go. There's the link. Please subscribe to Lucy. She's not Lucy Worsley, the historian, though, so don't be fooled into believing that. And she's getting upset that I called her out Lucy Worsley, the historian. I'm talking about someone completely different to her, and it's not the same person. Wits End says, will the real Lucy please stand up? At least you're not Lucy Letby, thank God. That would be awful. Pig Pig says, I identify as a sexy pork chop. Okay, well, there we go. SS Racing is subscribed. TMTB says, cute cat Lucy. Well, anyway. I identify as a wing-stop portion of boneless wings drenched in ranch, says Hey Tigers. There you go. People identify as all sorts of things. So, have we any more questions before we conclude this program? Right, what are my pronouns? No, I don't do pronouns. I'm not into those. So, Miss Marple, no, let's not go down that route. That's a load of rubbish. Have we any more questions for the evening? Thank you very much for your participation, and it's been wonderful having you. So, I don't know if we have any more questions. Right. Wits End identifies as at my wits end. Okay, well, you can do that precisely. Leslie S. says pronouns are supplied by the composer of the sentence. They and them, says Hey Tigers. TMTB says Augustus John was a Bohemian rogue. I read a biography of him. Wild guy. Well, yes. Miss Marple says my aunt had a house called Wits End. Okay, Wits End. Okay, right. Anyway, any questions? Any questions? Was the LSE a woke institution? I would say partly yes. Yes, when I was there, it was becoming a little. You know, there was a woman who identified as a mature student, and she had to point out that she was a mature student, and we called her Diane the Crow because she was a bit weird. And she lived in a building called the Trellick Tower in Notting Hill, well, that area of West London. It's a listed building, and she only invited certain students to the her study groups at her apartment. And well, obviously I wasn't one of them, but I didn't care about that really because I never wanted to go anyway. I didn't really go to any study group. I wasn't really into study groups. So there we go. Anyway, that was a kind of a woke thing. Yes. The woke. My friend Rex the Sex, on Radio Europe, Talk Radio Europe, he does a thing. He's the woke finder general. He seeks out all the woke stories of the world, and he does an expose on them. And you should listen to Rex Leyland, Rex the Sex, as I call him. That's his Twitter name. On Talk Radio Europe, he's often on there. You can listen to it online, and he does find out the woke, and he speaks out against the woke, and we don't like the woke. It's time to wake up to the woke, but I think the world is waking up to the woke, and we're going to move on from the woke. So that's one good thing Donald Trump has possibly done. He's shaken out a few of these woke, so let's get rid of the rest of the woke. Woke out. What do I think on P. Diddy? I don't really have a view again. I'm not an expert on the case. I haven't really followed the case in detail, but it seems that he's a bit of a creep, let's be honest. But that doesn't mean he's guilty of everything that he was accused of. And it seems he's going to get a lesser sentence, but I don't know. I don't know enough about the case to comment. Did I sit on the park with my mates, age 15, drinking a bottle of White Lightning? No, I definitely didn't. I drank good wine. I used to go out for lunch when I was 12 at the local restaurant from school. I used to walk down the hill and I'd go to the local restaurant because I didn't like eating in the school canteen. I was a very spoiled brat. I did actually live better as a child than I do now. I was a very spoiled child. I just had freedom to do what I wanted. So I took advantage of my freedom, but I did work hard as well. I did have a job age 15, I did work in an office age 15. So I did all sorts of things. I was made to do things, but I don't know where it all went wrong, but so what? Anyway, there we go. Did I go to a day school or did I board? No, I was a day pupil at the school. It was a boarding school, but it was partly a grammar school. It was partly a private school. It was partly state. It was partly private. So it was a mixture of things, that school. So it was a weird thing. I went to a very academic school. That was what I went to, I suppose. Did I see Lawrence Fox got married? I didn't know he got married, but he's he's completely nuts. He's lost the plot. That Lawrence Fox, absolutely off his rocker, completely mad, complete nutcase. Right. You asked me about P Diddy. Wear Sunscreen. It's a good song. Yes, I agree with you. I quite like that song. Yes, it's a nice song. Um, Jacob Rees-Mogg bought his first shares at 11 years old, made a small fortune. Well, he's quite a clever man, is Jacob Rees-Mogg, but it doesn't mean I have to like him. He's another nutcase. I read an interview today with Dale Vince in the Financial Times. He's worth a few hundred million. He's just stop oil, and he doesn't really believe in capitalism and all the rest of it. But he's quite happy to have a few hundred million. And his ex-wife to be is pointing out he was quite happy to go on a private plane when it suited him. So there you go. I thought the interview was terrible. It was lunch with the Financial Times from the weekend, and honestly, Dale Vince, you and your just stop oil, go and shove it up your ass. Absolutely shove it up your jumper. A terrible thing. Okay, not a fan of you. It was a terrible interview. I didn't like the interview one bit, but I read the whole thing because I like to read things that challenge my mind and make me cross. So, because it provokes the mind. So you've got to read things, and you've got to read a variety of things, and that's what I do. I read everything. I read the Guardian, I read the Financial Times, I read the Telegraph, I read the Mail, I read the Sun, I read, the New York Social Diary. Even, I read a mixture of things, and they're all full of nonsense, and they're all full of good things. So I take what I like and I adjust my mind to it. But I learn something, and it's nice to learn. So there we are. Right. Okay. Next question. Right. It's good to be street smart and book smart. I agree with that. Ron M, you're quite right. You prefer swans, is Wits End. Okay, I don't know what you prefer swans to. Right. Okay, well, I think at this juncture, I think it's 2 hours and 12 minutes. I'm going to say thank you very much for your kind participation. I'm sorry we had an interruption for a wine break, but we had to have a wine break. I'll pour myself a little bit more of this wine now. Have we any more final questions? Otherwise, I shall be going. This is a very nice wine, a Pickpool. You can't see the label because the stupid thing. There you are, Pickpool de Pinet. A nice wine. It's perfectly drinkable. Not very expensive, about £5.29 at the local supermarket. Sadly, I won't be having much more of this because I'll be back in England, won't I? So I'll be back to the overpriced, terrible wine. And, I won't be drinking the Ernest and Gallo because I don't like the Ernest and Gallo. But, out of 35 billion bottles of wine sold a year, they sell 3% of them. So well done to them. Good business if you can get it. So there we are. Did I listen to the Alice Vine and Hitchens podcast? I can't say I did. No. I don't know what the Alice Vine and Hitchens podcast is, Ross, but there we are. Right. Hey Tiggers says, lovely evening chat. Thank you. You are so reliable. I turned up a bit late. I was 3 minutes too late, but I did get that. Please tell Lady Min that we say good night and we love her, says Pig Pig. There you go.
Good night.
Lady Pig Pig says that she says good night and they love her. There we are. Right. Tina De Silva says, I won't be getting a postcard. I don't know why, because I've tried to send postcards to people, but
Too mean to buy the stamp.
no, that's not true at all. Anyway, you had a dream, right? Okay, well, that's an interesting thing. Right, okay. Right, okay. Well, anyway, will Anthea Turner be swinging back into the mainstream media anytime soon? No, I don't think so. I think Anthea's career is over, and I think deservedly so. So
Oh,
there we go. Anyway, Mary Taylor says, have the mini cheddars arrived? Well, they haven't yet, no. But it's nice of the thought anyway. So anyway, right, okay.
anyone come and help me with my ankles?
No, please don't interrupt my program. Honestly, she's moaning about her ankles. We don't need moaning in the background. I have said this previously. Please don't.
Mosquitoes.
Please don't start. Okay, well, I'll have to end my program now. Thank you very much for joining my program. Now I'm going to have to end it because of noise in the background yet again. I do apologise. Right, okay. I will say thank you very much and good night and good gardening and top of the evening to you. Thank you very much. Good night.